Most kidnappings in the United States involve child abduction. Although these cases are often related to disputes between parents for custody of their children, the security plan should include a deterrence factor for any executive with young children living at home. Law enforcement agencies in the United States are well prepared and very competent to respond to reports of kidnapping for ransom. And due to the harsh sentences imposed and the poor risk-to-benefit ratio compared with other crimes, cases of kidnapping for ransom in the United States has become very uncommon. However, the act of an unstable person cannot be overlooked. Also, employees of large companies doing business out of the U.S. or overseas, or who travel with family members, are more likely to become a kidnap target. In many foreign locations, schools attended by the children of expats will have some form of security plan in place. The security professional, with approval from the executive, should review these plans and suggest any changes or enhancements with the appropriate person responsible for the security plan. Security arrangements for obtaining children from school must be verified to ensure that they are being followed. During the response phase, the corporate strategy should be to maintain the lowest possible profile. The victim's family should receive support, but every attempt must be made to avoid the perception of a large corporation paying ransom demands that may encourage criminals to strike again at a deep pockets target. Prior to an overseas assignment, the executive and their family should receive a country security awareness briefing and a review of the company's kidnapping policy and protocols. The corporation should not comment to the media on kidnapping situations in progress. The successful resolution of a kidnapping situation requires the cooperative efforts of responding management faced with emergency, the company's crisis management team, and a specialized consultant. All need to act swiftly and with a clear understanding of the procedures to be followed. If a kidnapping occurs, careful documentations of actions taken should be made. This is important if future litigation occurs for charges of inaction on part of the company. This documentation will also be required to meet any kidnap insurance claims. The specialized consultant should have an action plan that includes the immediate determination of the needs for additional security measures, security arrangements for the victim's family, special communications arrangements, and supplemental personnel and equipment. No attempts should be made to negotiate with the kidnappers until the specialized consultants are ready to proceed. They will record all phone calls and attempt to use a secure phone if possible. Even when the life of a victim is given the highest priority by the police, it should be recognized that they may accept a greater level of risk than the corporation is willing to take in activities such as surveillance and arrest operations. There is a parallel decision to be made on notifications of the victim's government, because it too may have a different agenda. Some governments may have political aims and also attempt to dilute the decision-making authority of the crisis management team. There are some positives in the participation of an FBI negotiator. The FBI may be able to curb the local police agency from taking actions that might jeopardize the life of the hostage. The FBI may give the family a comfort level and be able to convince them to be more patient than they would ordinarily be. On the negative side, the FBI must bring in the local police. The FBI tends to shuttle their negotiators, resulting in a risk of inconsistency. And in the event of a disagreement, the crisis management team may feel compelled to follow FBI advice in order to avoid litigation, which may surface as a result of a case gone sour. The market will be researched by the specialized consultant to determine a target settlement figure. Kidnappers rarely expect to achieve their total demand, but the first offer should be generous enough to protect the safety of the hostage. Most experts suggest an initial offer of 65% of the anticipated ransom. Remember, this is the target settlement figure based upon market research. The corporate crisis management team must be prepared to manage the negotiations carefully. If the initial offer is too high and paid without hesitation, the corporation is at risk of a so-called double dip, in which the ransom is paid and the kidnappers hold the hostage for even more money. The profile sheet completed by the executive will be useful in determining his or her physical well-being. For example, the kidnapped victim may be requested to write a communications which includes their favorite song, current dentist, or some other information not known by the kidnappers and only to the executive. And the handwriting may verify that the document was written by the executive and that he or she is still alive. The corporate crisis management team must also consider the possible threat of mutilation, which is becoming more commonplace, particularly in Mexico. Supporting the family of a kidnapped victim is a vital element in the management of any kidnap case, and it can take a significant amount of management time. By acting in a responsible and humane manner, the corporation will carry out its obligations to the family, minimize the possibility of the family taking independent action that could harm the negotiations for the victim's release, and reduce the chance of hostility towards the corporation, particularly after the victim's release. The best way to minimize the effect of unpleasant developments is to warn the family of these in advance and to provide support when they are anticipated. Communications provides a framework for all aspects of helping the family. In addition to everyday communication processes, there should be an effective system for emergency communication. It is important that the family is kept properly informed and, if possible, kept occupied with activities that may help the victim, and finally, support at the time of the release is particularly important in ensuring that both the victim and his or her family in the case satisfied that the corporation has done all it could reasonably do.